On November 5th, the U.S. presidential election was held in the United States. The race between the Democratic Party candidate, incumbent Vice President Kamala Harris, and the former head of state, Republican Donald Trump turned out to be one of the most tense and unpredictable in American history. Even many leading American media, which always determined their favorite in advance, did not do so because of the equal chances of both candidates to win. However, after the counting of electoral votes in different states began, the situation changed dramatically. Trump took a sharp lead and defeated Harris with a large margin even in wavering states. How the U.S. elections were held and how supporters of Trump and Harris followed the voting in the photo gallery. Lenta.ru. The 2024 election campaign was intense for both candidates. Throughout the year, both the Democratic and Republican parties faced different challenges. Initially, the Democratic candidate was incumbent U.S. President Joe Biden, and many experts and politicians saw no alternatives, but he decided to withdraw from the race at the end of July, citing health reasons, and give the right to run to Vice President Kamala Harris. The election race brought many problems for the Republicans as well. Several criminal cases were filed against presidential candidate Donald Trump, and he was twice the victim of assassination attempts. Opinion polls have also added to the tension. According to the New York Times NYT poll aggregator, Trump and Harris had the same chances of winning. Unlike past campaigns, it was not possible to determine a clear favorite in the race until the electoral votes began to be counted. How the voting began. The splitting of the country into two equally divided camps was demonstrated by the first results of voting in Dixville Notch, New Hampshire, which has traditionally been the first U.S. polling place to open and close since 1960. 6 residents were the first to vote in the election, after which the result was immediately announced, with both candidates receiving 3 votes each. They all voted for Biden in the last 2020 election. Weather conditions may have significantly affected the election. As millions of Americans headed to their polling places, the weather across the country presented a serious challenge for them. From the Great Lakes to the Gulf Coast, there were heavy rains and thunderstorms, and from Montana to Colorado, heavy snowfall was forecast that could prevent voters from getting to the polls. In California, forecasters promised strong winds and drought that could threaten wildfires from the San Francisco Bay Area to Los Angeles, where local officials declared a red alert level. How the candidates voted for themselves. On November 5th, the Palm Beach precinct where Trump was to vote was guarded by both police and U.S. Secret Service personnel from the morning to prevent all sorts of threats to the politician's life. The Republican voted along with his wife Melania. In addition, the youngest son of the politician Barron, who voted for his father, was able to participate in this election for the first time. Harris, on the other hand, chose to take advantage of the postal voting option by sending her ballot in advance. Harris and Trump's election day parties. Both candidates threw election day parties. Harris chose to throw hers at Howard University, where she graduated in 1986. Her supporters cheered and cheered, but later the atmosphere changed dramatically. The announcement of Trump's victory in the first swing state of North Carolina was a demoralizing factor for Harris's supporters. Many began to disperse, and gloom grew among Democrats, with some even beginning to cry. Trump hosted an event celebrating the election results at the Palm Beach County Convention Center in Florida. It was attended by many celebrity supporters of the Republican, including American billionaire Elon Musk. Later, Trump traveled to his Mar-a-Lago residence where he was going to give a speech to supporters. They all watched the vote count in each state and hoped that their candidate would be the one to win. The first results and Trump's dramatic lead. The vote counting began at 3 o'clock Moscow time, and until 4:30 it was not clear which candidate would be able to prevail. A little later, data started coming in about Trump's lead in Georgia and North Carolina, but in the rest of the states the result was not clear. As of 5 a.m. Moscow time, Harris was edging Trump in Pennsylvania, which is a key state for winning the election. However, as early as 6 a.m., the candidates' positions in that region, as well as in Wisconsin and Michigan, had leveled off. After that, the success of the Republican candidate became more and more clear with every hour. The declaration of Trump as the winner of the election. Already as the first results were coming in, it became known about Trump's plans to give a victory speech. Shortly after, Fox News and CNN officially published forecasts that the Republican candidate would receive 277 electoral college votes, with 270 needed, the politician addressed voters. In his speech, he announced his plans to cure America of all existing problems, and first of all to start with the problem of migration and conflicts around the world. In addition, he hoped for 315 or more electoral college votes. If he can achieve such a result, he will break his own 2016 record.